Meghan Markle appears determined to rewrite the rules of royalty, rules that once gave her prestige, relevance, and a global platform but that she has spent the last several years publicly tearing down. Now, after distancing herself from the very institution she blames for life's injuries, she seems to want it all back. And Piers Morgan, the media figure who has made no secret of his contempt for what he calls her hypocrisy, is once again calling her out in blistering fashion. Her recent appearance at the Fortune Most Powerful Women Summit is only the latest attempt to recast herself as a global thought leader, a woman with a cause, a message, a noble struggle. Yet the irony is so loud it practically shouts. Every new step she takes to shed the royal identity somehow leans heavily on being the Duchess of Sussex. Morgan's criticism lands firmly on this contradiction. According to him, Meghan wants the glossy sheen of royalty without bearing the responsibilities, the loyalty, or the dignity expected of such a title. In his words, she is exploiting the monarchy only when it benefits her. It is a harsh accusation, but one that forces a necessary confrontation with reality. Meghan and Harry made a very public exit from Buckingham Palace, accompanied by a media storm they themselves helped create. They railed against the pressures of royal life, claiming they needed to step back to protect their mental health and their new family. Fair enough. Many applauded their desire for independence. Many believed their farewell to royal duties meant a farewell to royal branding. Yet here we are. Every time Meghan surfaces in the global spotlight, the Duchess label is front and center, used as a battering ram to re-establish relevance. She positions herself as an independent business figure, a philanthropist, a speaker of global wisdom, but always Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Not Meghan Markle, former actress. Not Meghan, private citizen. There is a calculated convenience at play. And this is exactly what Piers Morgan refuses to let pass unchallenged. Morgan argues that Meghan's public re-emergence is not some altruistic act of empowerment, but a calculated campaign for personal gain, a royal comeback scheme, as he calls it. He sees her efforts as a direct attempt to monetize the royal brand while claiming to morally reject it. To him, this is not bravery or independence. It is opportunism wearing the costume of victimhood. One can dislike Morgan's personality or tone, but his basic question is impossible to ignore. How can Meghan despise the monarchy so deeply, yet depend on it so completely? Meghan's narrative repeatedly casts her as the underdog, the outsider who bravely exposed palace power dynamics, outdated protocols, and a supposedly oppressive culture. But as Morgan highlights, no one coerced her into the royal spotlight. She wanted it. She pursued it. She enjoyed its luxuries, its protections, and its enormous international fame, until the obligations became inconvenient. Then came the exit. And then came the interviews. And then came the speeches, the deals, the constant insistence that the world recognize her personal journey as something revolutionary. Morgan's stance is pointed. Meghan doesn't just want freedom, she wants the titles, the prestige, and the benefits without the accountability. She and Harry cut their ties to the institution, yet continue to capitalize on the global obsession it created around them. The more Meghan distances herself from royal duty, the more she leans into royal privilege. This is the contradiction that fuels Morgan's fury. He argues that if Meghan truly wished to reject the monarchy, she would relinquish the Duchess title entirely. She would leave behind the coat of arms, the royal introductions, the palace-adjacent publicity. She would be Meghan Markle, entrepreneur and activist, without the crown as a silent marketing partner. But that is something she clearly has no intention of doing. Morgan describes her as someone who plays the monarchy both ways. When criticized for using royal association to build her personal empire, she frames herself as a victim of unfair scrutiny. When praised, she leans proudly into her Duchess status. It's a strategic dance, one that Morgan insists is self-serving and disingenuous. That is the core of his criticism. Meghan wants the respect that comes with royalty without adhering to the standards that justify it. He is calling out what he sees as performative activism, a brand of empowerment that ultimately spotlights only Meghan and her ambitions. A relaunch of the royal identity on her own terms, detached from traditions that once defined it, but clinging tightly to the status it provides. Morgan's tone, as always, is dripping with contempt. He sees her as someone who preaches generosity while practicing opportunism, who denounces the monarchy with one breath and banks on its power with the next, who claims humility yet is driven by an unmistakable hunger for influence. Is Meghan harsh? Absolutely. But is his critique baseless? Hardly. Meghan Markle's quest to rewrite her place in royal history is undeniably bold. But it is also riddled with contradictions that she refuses to acknowledge. She cannot perpetually attack a system while still using its title as a personal elevator. She cannot demand sympathy for leaving a royal life she simultaneously markets. Piers Morgan may be acerbic, relentless, even obsessive in his criticism, but he is not blind. He sees a truth many are hesitant to say out loud: Meghan Markle is not stepping away from the monarchy. She is repackaging it. And in doing so, she proves Morgan's point for him. The royal title she now carries is not a burden. It is her product. And if that doesn't justify criticism in its sharpest form, what does?